This is a video showing how to replace the pump on a Bissell Pro Heat. This is the pump that we'll be replacing. Alright, so here's the situation. On the pump itself, this gear has been stripped and actually has gotten stripped to the point where it's fallen off. And so we need to replace the whole pump unit. We'll show you how to do that. Alright, looking at the bottom of the unit, in order to get the beater bar out, you have to remove a screw that is down in here, and that has a retaining bracket for this roll holder. Then there's also a screw down in here that holds this retainer in here, which also holds this retainer right here. So this screw and this screw needs to come out first. Now that these retaining clips can be removed, there'll be a small one like this, which holds this one in. And this larger one, actually, in order to get this one out, you need to release the lever in the back, and then you can pull that out. So, I'm not sure if you can see that or not, but the end piece here is missing from that pump right there. The next thing you want to do is remove this belt cover. You can use a flathead screwdriver, just push up there. You can also use the back to push it up. Once that's released, this is going to give you access to the belt that needs to come out of there and go back in. That is the location. So as you can see right down here is actually the pump is right here that we need to replace. This is the primary drive belt, and then there's the beater brush belt that runs down in there. So that pump is what we need to get to take out. Alright, so now you're going to want to go ahead and lay down the arm here. And remove the main storage tank. Also remove the soap tank. You also need to remove this cover here. It screws off counterclockwise. Remove this as well. The next two screws that you'll need to remove will be here and here to take off this guard. Lift up in the back here. May need to use a flathead to start or remove the suction. Once it's started, just wiggle that off and it comes right off. And then there are 4 screws in the inside here of the base. There's one here, one there, one back here, and one here. Those have to be removed so this top piece, this top bezel can come off. We'll do that now. Alright, once you have the 4 screws taken out, just pop this top piece off. It'll come straight off. And then you have a good view of what you need to work on here. There's your pumps. You need to remove this, these 4 hoses and this belt. And then we'll pull that pump out and put the new one in. Alright, so now using a needle nose, you'll want to remove the tubes that are in the way to get that motor out of there. So we'll get this one first. Just move that back to the behind the nipple here. Twist it a couple times to loosen it up. And pull it off. After that, you can tuck that up in here to get that out of your way. Oh, or not. Get this one down here. And this one on the top just pulls off. And same with the last one down here. We'll actually wait till I take that last one off because we can pull the pump out and then have easier access so we don't pull out or make a hole in the tube. Alright, so now in here, get this out of the way, you have 4 screws. Get a better angle here. Alright, so on the pump here itself, you got a screw here, screw here, screw here, and screw there. Basically 4 screws in each corner. Those need to come out. Once you got those 4 screws out, that loosens the pump right up out of there. I'm going to grab the rest of these screws out of here. Just kind of work it out of there. Alright. Now you got that last tube here. Just loosen that one up. Pull it off. Alright, so as you can see on the old pump, it is missing the sprocket at the end, which drives the belt, like that one. So it's missing this here. Alright, so installation is basically the opposite of removal. Start with this bottom hose, slide that on. Get the motor position or the pump position down in where it needs to go, like so. Get the screws back in. Start each screw before you tighten them down so that you make sure you have all the holes lined up. Make sure not to over tighten. Alright, now you put the other hoses back on. Make sure there's a little clip here. Make sure this hose goes over that clip, otherwise it'll get in the way of the belt. Now is actually a good time to make sure that your nozzles are clean. Basically just remove the hosing or the hoses, and there's these two retainer clips. Spread those apart, pop it out, blow it out with your air nozzle, and I know that both of these seem pretty clogged when I blew them out, so I'm hoping for a much better performance when I put it back together here. Alright, now that you have your screws in, your hoses connected, we can put the belt, both belts on so that that's ready, and we'll put the casing back on. So the best way I've found to feed the belts in here is to come in from the bottom here. You have to basically angle this main drive belt so that it can slip over the spot for the geared belt, and then you can slide it right up through. There's a hole right down there that comes out the top here. That feeds the belt right up through here, and then you're able to put it onto the motor drive. And spinning it a few times will align it where it's supposed to be, both on this gear here and down on the pump. Alright, so now you have your drive belt on. Now we need to go ahead and put the top piece back on. This requires a little bit of patience and finesse. Also, something to mention is this bottom carriage may drop down, so you're going to have some play between it and the wheels. So when you put this case back on, you'll have to lift up on the bottom in order to get the screws started. So another thing to mention is the adjuster that adjusts how much spray is coming out right here. That's this piece right here. That has to line up with where it goes in right over here. So just be aware that you may need to move the spray or the solution adjustment a little bit to make that fit in there right. Just line everything up. Alright, so then just get all your 4 screws started here. You may have to lift up on the bottom here like I mentioned. And then just finish tightening those. Alright, now that we have all the bolts tightened, we can put back the washer indicator that shows when there's flow going through this here. Just tighten that back on. Put the front shield back on. Make sure that this rubber is seated in here right. There's a couple of notches on each side. Alright, now we can put on the beater bar and the drive belt. Alright, so we're just gonna put the belt in through there. Grab our beater bar, get that on there. And then we'll just set that back in the recess for a moment. Now we're going to go ahead and put our end cap on for that end of the beater bar. Now remember, this piece here has to be recessed, which means that the release has to be put down on the back. To allow this to be able to go inside of there. Alright, now that that's on, just hold that in there, and you'll want to put in your retainer clip. Be careful not to apply too much pressure. These things tend to snap where the screw goes on. Alright, now that that's in, you can go ahead and put in the retaining screw for that side. The nice thing that I've found with these Bissells is that all of their screws, at least the screws that I've had to do on this project, are all the same, so you don't have to keep track of which screw goes to where, just as long as you keep track of where all the screws are. Alright, next we're going to go over to the other side and get this side of the beater bar put in. Alright, so we're going to put the end piece on. Fit that over the, again, this is the other side where it had to be recessed over here for this clip to fit in. This one has the same piece, but you shouldn't have to recess it to get the beater bar to fit in there because it has a different connection. Just make sure that the tab is seated down by where the piece screws in. You're just putting this little piece in. Make sure you get this in the right way, and that is with it facing like a backwards L. And just put that in there. Okay, for the other side here, I've actually flipped the unit upside down so that these keepers on either side are pulled back, and that's by releasing the stand mechanism. So that will make it easier to get these retainers in. You may want to do the same thing for this side. But basically you'll be putting in this retainer on well, upside down it'll be the right side, and it'll be facing in the shape of a P. And that'll go on just like this. Alright, now the last thing you have to do is put the belt cover case back on, the two reservoirs, and you should be ready to shampoo again. Alright, so we have the belt cover. It just slides in here. Make sure it snaps in. Solution bottle. as it works. And you're good to go. We'll see you next time.